Hello guys, over the next few videos we're going to be looking at the basis of synthesis. How do we decide what waveforms to use for particular sounds? How do we craft a sound? What is the mystery of the sound that we are getting? We're going to fully explore and explain the mystery of the synthesis so that you could say at the end of it, you have your big red button. This is all you need to do to get the results you want. Is it a continuous sound? Does it play continually while you have the controller excited? Or is it a percussive sound? Does it decay and disappear after a short period of time? Dear friends, we start with a waveform or several of the waveforms, and we sculpt them using filters, and we insert some LFO modulation of some kind to make it interesting, and we set a volume envelope using a VCA for how the sound behaves in terms of loudness over time. We're dealing with three basic parameters: pitch, timbre, and loudness. And that's all it is. And people seem to have a hard time creating the sounds they want. But we're going to show you how. We tried before and it didn't work, so we're trying again to see if we can explain how it's done. The selected photos you are seeing come from The Secrets of Analog and Digital Synthesis by Steve DeForia, and this is an excellent resource. Thank you, Steve, for making it. This fantastic diagram relates the instrument type to the various way the sound is produced, to the type of source you need to use in your analog synthesizer. As you can see, look across the top line, for example, we have brass, strings, guitar, bass, and woodwinds. And those type of instruments use an open ear column or a vibrating string under the acoustic source, and you can make them in your analog synthesizer using either sawtooth waves or narrow pulse waves. And those type of waves contain all harmonic partials. That's just a technical term for the overall spectrum. You don't need to bother too much about that. If you're doing it with FM synthesis, you would need to use the modulator with a 1-to-1 ratio to the carrier. If you're dealing with closed ear columns, such as would be present in clarinet, recorder, whistles, and organs, those only have odd harmonic partials, and the type of wave that you would use in your analog synthesizer is square or triangle waves, or a combination of the two. And if you're doing with FM, you would be raising the ratio to 2-to-1 between the modulator and the carrier. In the third row now, we have instruments that have are being struck, like electric piano, the tines of an electric piano, bells, vibes, cymbals, timpani, and tom-toms. Once it's a struck instrument like that, it has non-harmonic partials, and the acoustic source is referred to as membranes, suspended bars, or anything that is struck. The analog source to use for that is either a mixture of your various waveform types, or you can use some kind of AM or FM audio modulation.
And if you're dealing with an FM source, you would want to add sine waves, a various mixture of sine waves. Or if you're using the type of synthesizer that depends on the carrier and modulator, such as the DX synthesizer, you would have to set up your own ratios, but they would not be non-integers. It wouldn't be like 1 to 1 or 2 to 1. A non-integer ratio would be like 2.5 to 1 3/4 or something like that. So the ratio between the modulator frequency and the carrier frequency will be changed to fractional components. Now, if you're dealing with natural sounds like breath, drums, wind, thunder, or mechanical scrapes like a machine or doors or different noises, these consist of random partials, and you need to use for an acoustic source transients, rushing air, and snares, which in a synthesizer, analog modular synthesizer, is produced by the noise generator. And in the FM synthesizer, such as the DX, you can put feedback, you can add feedback on the modulator. So this one diagram tells you virtually how to make every kind of sound you could possibly want in your synthesizer, whether it's analog or digital. And we are going to be doing some examples based on this diagram. This diagram is the most important diagram I've ever seen in my life. And I once again wish to thank Mr. Steve DeFuria for making this book, which is now out of print. But it was very effective in helping so many people back in the 60s and 70s.
So that's all I'm going to say this afternoon. I'm working on some sheets to put up, and then we will go on to part 2. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.